If you weren't thinking of buying or leasing an electric car before, you may well be now, thanks to the government's electric car grant. As you probably know by now, this offers a significant contribution towards your new EV, usually £1,500. Introduced in August 2025, the scheme only applies to a relatively small list of carefully chosen, more affordable electric cars, those priced from £37,000 or under, with a top variant price of £42,000. And there's £650 million worth of grants available until the 2028-2029 financial year. Unlike with the Conservative government's previous EV grant scheme of 2022, car buyers don't have to apply for the grant themselves. Just buy your new Holden Group car at the cheaper grant-deducted price. Eligibility for the grant is based on various eco-criteria, including emissions produced during battery production and vehicle assembly, as well as the carbon footprint of electricity grids in the country of production. And the makeup of the electric car grant list is changing all the time. Here we'll be mainly focusing on Renault models available here at the Holden Group and running through the initial cars from the brand that the government had nominated at the time of making this film in October 2025. There are four: the Renault 5 E-Tech Electric, the Renault 4 E-Tech Electric, the Renault Megane E-Tech Electric and the Renault Scenic E-Tech Electric. Let's start with the little 5 E-Tech Electric compact hatch, possibly the trendiest car of its kind currently on the market and priced from around £23,000, from which you can deduct that £1,500 electric car grant. Back in the 70s, the original 5 effectively pioneered the super mini genre. Its look is nostalgically referenced here, in combination with futuristic design. The cabin also sets out to combine real-world technology with retro design. The main 70s reference lies with the padded stitched passenger-side dashboard moulding, which can be trimmed in several distinctive, sustainable textiles, according to the trim level chosen. Over 18% of the car's material content is recycled, and you can have denim trimming made of reclaimed PET plastic bottles. Analog instrument gauges like the original would have been an interesting nostalgic touch, but instead there's the now expected binnacle screen, offered in either 7 or 10-inch sizes, depending on trim. You expect nimble, agile handling from a small car that looks like this, and the relative lightness here, by EV standards anyway, helps to provide it. In terms of power, things kick off with a base 120 horsepower variant that uses a 40 kWh battery with a 190 mile range. But here at the Holden Group, we find that most 5 E-Techs are chosen in this car's top form, with a 150 horsepower motor energised by a 52 kWh battery capable of taking the car up to 248 miles between charges. Remember that charging speeds vary here with battery choice. For the 40 kWh model, it's 80 kilowatts. For the 52 kWh version, it's 100 kilowatts. In both cases, expect a 15 to 80% top-up to take just under half an hour from a public DC charger. The AC charging time for full replenishment is 5 hours 30 minutes. You can take an hour off that if you're able to 3-phase charge at 11 kilowatts. The second Renault model covered by the government scheme, the 4 E-Tech Electric, shares its 52 kWh battery with the 5 and develops much the same in terms of EV range and charging speed. The 4, priced from around £27,000 less the £1,500 grant, would be your choice if you needed something still compact but slightly larger and more family orientated. At 4,140mm in length, with 1,800mm of width and 1,570mm of height, this 4 is 220mm longer, 30mm wider and 70mm taller than the 5 E-Tech, but is only slightly longer and taller than the original 4, which means in today's terms that it's still not much bigger than super mini sized. Inside the 4 up front, much is also shared with the 5 E-Tech, which means provision of a level of modern tech that would have baffled the rural Gallic peasants who flocked to the 60s original, a 10.1-inch digital driver's display and a 10-inch Google-powered infotainment touchscreen. Thanks to an extra 80mm of wheelbase length over the 5, rear seat legroom becomes almost family acceptable, and because the rear floor is almost flat, 3 adults will fit. The cleverest bit though is the 420-litre boot, the floor of which sits just 60.7cm from the ground, 10cm lower than any rival. If you're looking for a slightly more conventionally shaped family hatchback EV model, what about the third Renault model that's included under the electric car grant, the Megane E-Tech Electric? It offers a very modern crossover-like look, and inside a glossy open-R fascia screen panel, what the brand calls this cabin's crowning jewel, made up of a 12.3-inch instrument display and a 9-inch central monitor. There's comfortable space for 2 adults in the back and a spacious 440-litre boot. This Megane single front motor produces 216 brake horsepower of total output, and range is up to 285 miles. The car comes with an 11 kilowatt onboard charger and can fast DC public charge at up to 130 kilowatts, during which the car can draw about 186 miles of range in about half an hour. Around 8 hours of charging from a 7.4 kilowatt home charger will give you about 248 miles of range. Pricing starts at around £32,000, from which you can deduct that £1,500 electric car grant. If you need something family-sized, then what about the fourth Renault model to be included under the electric car grant, the Scenic E-Tech Electric? This is perhaps the trendiest looking family crossover out there. Size-wise, there's almost 4.5 metres of length, but just 1.57 metres of height, with a wheel at each corner stance and short overhangs. Take a seat behind the wheel and you'll note the SUV-like raised driving position and the way the angled centre console cocoons you into a drive position predictably dominated by the brand's open-R digital cockpit arrangement. What will really appeal to families though is the amount of space in the rear, where thanks to the 2,784mm wheelbase, there's 278mm of legroom and 884mm of headspace. Renault has included what it calls an ingenious rear armrest, which has 3.6 litres of stowage, 2 cup holders, a pair of USB-C ports, and fold-out stands that enable occupants to watch screens more comfortably. Another clever touch is the optional solar bay panoramic roof, which uses electrified polymer dispersed liquid crystals. Out back, there's a 545-litre boot. The Scenic's long-range drivetrain uses a single front-mounted 220 horsepower motor energised by a large 87 kWh battery that provides for up to 381 miles of range. This Scenic offers rapid charging ability that's supposed to allow a top-up from 15 to 80% in about half an hour. Pricing starts from around £37,000, from which you can deduct that £1,500 electric car grant. Don't worry if the EV you're looking for isn't in the Renault lineup. At the Holden Group, we have some great offers on other compact electric models. Dacia has one of the most affordable EVs on the market with its little spring small hatch, and some of the most sought-after small EV hatches on the market include the Kia EV3, the Volvo EX30, and the Honda ENY1. We have great deals on all of those, and on the Polestar 2, which can offer one of the longest driving range figures in its class. Deals like these, and that government grant program, will certainly boost EV sales. Whether it'll be enough to take them from the current 25% level to the 80% target set for 2030 is another question. For the moment, all the various brands really care about is selling enough electric cars to meet the UK's zero-emission vehicle mandate, which currently requires them to achieve an EV sales mix of at least 28% or be fined £12,000 per non-compliant vehicle. Everyone within the industry then has a big incentive to make the switch to electric cars work. Now at last, you do too.